Hello again, fellow modelers. Armando here with DLC Model Builders, beginning another figure kit, and I am staying with my superheroes. This time I am doing the Flash. Now, ever since I became aware that Horizon had put out a vinyl kit many years ago of the Flash in a really dynamic running pose, I have been looking all over the place for it, but it's impossible to find. I know they put it out, but you can't find it anywhere. I guess it was pretty rare. So I set about looking for some other kit, resin, vinyl, styrene, whatever, that would capture the essence of what the Flash was, you know, running. And there's a couple of kits that came to mind. This one is from Bad Fairy Productions, also called AdvancedSculptor.net. And here's the finished kit. I wrote the guy to see if he was still making them. He said they were not in production, but he thought he had one left someplace, and he started looking and looking, and boom, he found it. He also provided me with a Green Lantern kit, which he had, which is also on this website. Go there and check him out. He's got some really cool kits. He's got some really nice Vampirella kits. I might be getting one of those as well. Those are for sale. He said he also thought he had a Green Lantern one, so I picked that one up as well. That'll be a future build, but today I thought I'd start the Flash kit since I'm finished with my Superman now. This is similar to the pose from the Horizon, and if you check this other one out, this is another resin kit. This one is impossible to find. I can't get it anywhere. It's a different pose slightly. He's on his right foot instead of the leg, and he's in the act of running, whereas the one I'm building, I guess he's about to take off. But anyway, these kits, they all have one issue, which is the first thing I'm going to have to deal with, obviously. But let's go through the kit first, so you'll see what we're dealing with. Now, I've already washed it. It had some stains on it. Obviously it's been in storage for a while. The base is made to look like a stone outcropping. It has some staining on it, but I've washed it with a dishwasher detergent, and I don't get any smell from it, such as mold or anything, so I'm thinking that it's probably going to be okay. Some of this is just old staining. The resin looks good quality. It's not quite yellow resin. It's more like white resin. There's a few things about the mold that are going to require some work. The sculpting's pretty good. He's not as ripped as Superman was. You would think he'd have stronger calves being a runner like he is, but that's okay. There's some contact flash that will have to be taken care of. Some of it is pretty prominent. As you can see right there, there's even a step off there. That's going to have to be worked on with some heavy grit. And I don't know what we're going to do about that. The step off with the lightning bolt, but it's obviously going to have to be fixed. The contact flash continues all the way around, and he's going to require some heavy sanding, no doubt about it. Same problem exists in all the parts to a lesser degree. As you can see, but it should be fixable with some heavy grit sandpaper and some elbow grease and some patience. Now, the biggest design issue and engineering issue with this kit will obviously be how to get this thing on here and get it to stay. The whole support for the whole kit is basically that. Obviously it's not going to hold on its own, no matter what kind of adhesive I use. So I'm going to have to devise some way of pinning it so it'll hold. Now, let me set the camera on the table. Pardon all the shakies. And let me tell you what I'm thinking. This is how it's going to sit, and obviously I'm depending on the ankle and the thinner part of the leg to be strong enough to hold the rest of the kit. Looks like it will be, I hope, because if it isn't, I'm going to have a problem. Obviously this is not a kit to be jostling around once it's finished. Once you set it on your shelf, you don't want people touching it too much. But I think the best thing to do will probably be to drill some kind of a hole up here, going up into the shoe and at an angle, so I've got enough resin on this side so that I can put a thick pin into the base and into that will sit there and support most of the weight. That and a combination of epoxy. I will be using epoxy here, I think. It's stronger and longer lasting than CA glue. Should suffice. The toe of the boot does go against the floor, so that'll be an additional support. But if the pin is set just right and the glue holds, hopefully it will be enough to keep them in place. Now again, this is not a kit that I can be jostling around and moving. Look, even holding it with my hand, the figure itself kind of shakes around. See? So, you know, it's a precarious position, but I guess it's something you have to accept to if you want to achieve this dynamic pose that he's supposed to be in, being the Flash and all. So that'll be the most interesting and most challenging part of the build, I think. And fixing up and cleaning up the area. The joints, the thigh joint here looks pretty good. Not too bad. I gotta go get my tripod so I can set this up. Let me set it a little higher here. I got a box here I can put it on. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Okay. The thigh seam seems to be all right. I might do a little pinning there to make sure it doesn't shift around. And with some good seam work, I should be able to make that disappear. This part here, however, not as good. Now, there's supposed to be a boot there, of course, as you can see, and there's a division where the boot starts and the uniform ends, and that's fine, and I can accept that, and it'll help with the joining here. What I don't like is, as you can see, some of the thickness isn't quite right. I'm going to have to do some smoothing to make this look like it's actually a boot. We'll have to see. Again, I think I'll paint things before I put them together. That way I don't have to be masking elaborately, and I can paint the yellow parts and the red parts separately. Should make for an easier build. But this will be a little bit of a challenge to make it look natural. The hands, well, again, same problem. These are gloves, supposedly, I believe. I have to, well, no, actually everything is red. This is yellow. The boots are yellow, but the hand's supposed to be part of the uniform, so this seam will have to disappear. That will be a challenge. But hey, if it were easy, actually you wanted it to be easy. I wish more people were doing models. Anyway, this one also looks like there'll be some challenging seam work to be done there. But it should make the build interesting. So that's the Flash. Now, I did want to talk about also another set of kits that I discovered recently thanks to Network Wraith, who picked up one of their newest kits that came out, and I wanted to show you guys. Let me see if I can pull up the website. Hopefully it'll come up on the... Okay, here we go. These guys are called Prototypes Studios. They have a web page and they have a Facebook page, and they are original Eric Sosa sculptures, limited quantity, which he's going to be putting out. They are first castings, so the quality should be amazing, and they are officially licensed by DC Comics, the ones that are coming out for DC Comics. That means that he's got in the pipeline Batman, Superman, I'm guessing the Flash and Green Lantern, and a bunch of other characters. As you can see, DC Comics coming soon, 1/4 scale. But of the ones that are out, 1/6 scale already, this one, I picked it up. Nightwing. A little pricier than the usual kit, but again, keep in mind these are first castings, first generation, and original sculpture by Eric Sosa, so the quality should be amazing. I'm waiting on this one. Network Wraith already has his and has begun his build. You can check it out at SFMA. He's got some other stuff, some of the Street Fighters from the Street Fighter series and video games, which look pretty damn cool. Check it out. There's also Black Adam from DC Comics, and again, I've already seen some prototypes of Superman. Batman will be a companion piece to Nightwing, and he's also working on Harley Quinn. So there should be some cool kits coming out of here. If you're interested in quality figure kits, this is the way to go. So that's my Flash build coming up, and if Prototypes comes out with a Flash also, I'll probably pick that one up, because the quality is bound to be amazing. But anyway, this guy looks like if I can work on him, I can do him right. Anyway, talk to you soon. Okay, I'm beginning the application of the putty. Basically, you just want to fill in the gap, make it disappear, putty is my friend. Would you believe there's bugs out here? It's the beauty of South Florida. Even though it feels like 65 outside, they're still coming around. I guess they're attracted to the light. Okay. Getting all around with the first application of putty. I'm sure it won't be the last. And again, you just sort of push it in there so it goes into the gap and fills it. Okay. Be back soon. Continuing work on my Flash resin model kit. As you can see, I have completed assembly of the figure. I pinned all the parts. These are flat surfaces with no tab and slot design at all, so simply leaving them with some CA glue wouldn't have been enough. They wouldn't have held, so they were all pinned. The thigh here I pinned with the nail technique that I showed you guys on my Superman video. I just clipped the nail and put it in as a pin. The ones on the arms, I happened to break the bit I was using, so I decided, well, I'll just use the two pieces as pins. since they're already the same size as the hole I was making, and they worked perfect. Now as you can see, this figure has some pretty severe seams. This one's not so bad, although you can see some unevenness there. There's going to be some heavy sanding that's going to have to be done there. The rest appears to be pretty flush, and filling and sanding should take care of it eventually. The arms will be more difficult. These are not gloves. These are supposed to be flush as part of the uniform, so those seams need to disappear completely. And they're not even. In fact, the surfaces are very uneven, as you can tell in some areas. So this should be a challenge. But hey, you know, the way I've always looked at it, the more challenges I surpass, the better a modeler I become. So the next one that comes up, no matter how hard it is, I'll be able to surpass. Anyway, I'll work on those, and I'll get back to you. Oh yeah, here, there's another part here I forgot to tell you about. I also pinned this one. This is supposed to be a boot, just like the other leg, and you know, the seam will stay, the lines will stay, but you can tell there's a big time unevenness there. I'm going to have to sand that down so it becomes more flush, and although I'll leave the line so it simulates where the boot starts, like this one, it nevertheless needs to look natural. I can't have that thing protruding like that. Not sure if it might be better to just fill this front with some putty or even epoxy glue and try and shape it so it's the same size, as the same shape as a shin. I might end up doing that and give epoxy sculpt a try. I do have it. I got it recently, so no time like the present to give it a shot, right? Anyway, you'll be the first to know. Talk to you soon. Okay, I've done an initial round of sanding with 320 grit, and as you can see, I've been able to knock down the unevenness of the surfaces in the posterior thigh. They are now even. I've gone all around and sanded and evened out the edges pretty nicely, at least much better than the way before. There's no step off anymore. I can palpate it. So now I'll apply some putty and go from there. Back with another update on the Flash. Gotten quite a bit done, as you can see. Let's go through it. I went ahead and completed, for the most part, the sanding and primering and puttying of the arms and the leg. There's still some imperfections that will have to be dealt with. Mainly minor little creases and stuff that will get hidden up very nicely with the paint and the folds of the model, but for the most part the arms look like they are part of him now and not simply parts that were glued in place. Did some sanding there yesterday to smooth some stuff out. Also, the left thigh feels smooth as silk now, and this is after several applications of 320 and putty and sanding and 320 and 600 grit. I also went ahead and painted the boots and the Thunderbolt around his waist. Oh, and I fixed the boot. Remember I showed you the unevenness there? Well, I basically sculpted putty in there and sanded it down until it was flush with the leg to look more natural, and I'm really pleased with the way it came out. It looks like it's part of the boot. I chose the Spies yellow that I had and added a couple of drops of red to the mixing cup so it would shift it just a tad over to a more orangish yellow. You can't really tell, but the original yellow was a bit too greenish looking. This looks a lot more like the Flash that I remember from the comic books. Tonight I plan on masking off. Well, I'm going to do a little bit more sanding at the forearms and then I'm going to mask off the thunderbolts in the forearms and paint them yellow. And then I'll work on the chest logo, which, as you'll recall, the thunderbolt is yellow and the circle is white. I'll get that done. Also the ear wings, which I have right here. I haven't primered them or anything yet. I'll be primering them tonight to allow them to dry. They're supposed to be yellow. If any imperfections arise after I paint this, then they'll require sanding. But I think I'm pretty much satisfied with the way it looks. I'll do a little bit more sanding tonight before I paint it. Once I'm done with the yellow parts, then I'll mask those off and proceed with the red. That should be fun to pick. I'll have to mask off the face, obviously, but that's easier than it looks because the lines are straight. It's the eyes that'll be difficult. I'll probably mask those off with putty. It'll make it easier. Anyway, he's coming along quickly. It's a fairly simple color scheme. It's not that complicated, and aside from some tedious masking around the areas, it's mostly straight line masking, so it's not that bad. Apologies for the interruption. I also forgot to mention I'll be doing some pre-shading with black of all the muscular areas to emphasize them, so they look more natural. Anyway, that's the flash so far, and talk to you later.